Oh, let me tell you something. Bustin' makes me feel good.
Okay, let's try it out. Hi there, it's me, Jay. Oh man. All right, so you are here because you are not just a fan, but a patron of Blockbusting. We'll just get this out of the way up front. One of the things I want to do with this Patreon is give myself a chance to go a little bit more in depth with movie reviewing, talking about movies, that kind of stuff. If you don't follow me on Letterboxd already, I would suggest doing that. I post some more in-depth reviews there, but we're going to do some video content here just for you guys. So, without further ado, let's get into it. One of the things I haven't really done yet, and this is something I think it's about time to do, is talk about my top 10 movies of 2019. Now, there's a couple movies that I still haven't seen that I would like to. Now, there's a couple movies that have come out in 2019 that I still haven't gotten a chance to see yet. They've eluded me. Haunt, Dolomite Is My Name, Mr. America, Hustlers, John Wick 3, A Hidden Life, High Flying Bird, Brightburn, Honey Boy, The Beach Bum. I feel like I've seen enough this year that I have a very cohesive, solid list of my 10 personal favorite movies of 2019. I'm not going to do any of this extra, what's it called? I'm not going to do any of this extra honorable mentions bullshit. I'm just here to tell you my 10 favorites, the 10 movies I definitely think you should seek out whenever they are out on video, or if they're still in theaters, which a couple of them still are. Go see them as soon as you can on the big screen. I've seen so many more movies this year again because of the support and the fans like you guys who not only listen to what I put out, but engage with me and make me feel like I'm putting good use to this dumbass film degree that I decided to get almost, God, how long has it been? 7 years ago? So, thank you. And now, without further ado, let's get into the top 10 of 2019. Number 10, Climax, Gaspar Noé's wild acid trip dance movie. This movie really, really fucked me up when I saw it. I've been sober almost 4.5 years, but one of the favorite things I did drug-wise was psychedelics. Loved me some acid, and I did have, not on acid, but I did have a couple bad trips on my day on some shrooms. Climax made me feel like I was having a bad trip in the best possible way. Like, it's a movie that I felt so uncomfortable watching by the very end, but you get drawn in. And Gaspar Noé is a filmmaker who I haven't seen a lot of his work. I watched Enter the Void earlier this year. Wasn't really a big fan, but Climax really just like sucker punched me. Took my breath away. Literally. I was stumbling out of the theater by the time I got out of there at the ArcLight, and it was just felt almost sick to my stomach. It's an impressive feat of filmmaking, and I highly encourage you to check it out, even if you are not a Gaspar Noé fan. I know he's a little bit of an acquired taste, but he's worth your time in Climax. Number 9, Marriage Story. Marriage Story, man. This is a movie that is good, but it's flawed. And there's a couple other movies like that I saw this year, but Marriage Story is the only one that made the list. The big problem that I had with the movie is outweighed by the wonderful acting, the great dynamic combative dialogue and writing, and some directorial choices that I really admire, as far as things like shot choice, editing, all the stuff that, you know, sort of comes under the umbrella of directing. Noah Baumbach is really, really working at the top of his game here. And unfortunately, I think Marriage Story came out in a year where there's a lot of other really strong movies, and Netflix, I can see why Netflix put out Marriage Story as a chance for them to try and get Oscars. I think that Marriage Story is a good choice for an Oscar baity kind of movie, but the deck is stacked against it with, conveniently enough, my number 8 movie of the year, The Irishman. Holy shit, The Irishman is so good. It's long, and I know that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I don't want to sit down for 3.5 hours. You know, maybe I'll do this thing that I saw on Twitter where I can watch it as a miniseries. Don't do that. Not at least for your first time. For your first time, carve out the time, sit down all the way through. The Irishman is paced so well that it doesn't feel like 3.5 hours of movie. It goes along at a really nice clip for the first couple hours when it's all action-packed, and then it does this thing at the very end when it just pulls together, and Robert De Niro, who frankly is getting a lot more love for his role than I totally understand. I think that Al Pacino and Joe Pesci deserve way more credit for the kind of acting that they do in this movie compared to Robert De Niro. But by the end of the movie, you really get to see Robert De Niro's contribution, because the way it all comes together with Scorsese basically doing an elegy on his career and coming to grips with the kind of movies that he's made before and their impact. And Robert De Niro basically gets to play your good old Scorsese surrogate here. It's heartbreaking. It made me feel more emotional than Marriage Story did. You know, I don't know if my girlfriend was sobbing for 20 minutes after watching The Irishman the way she was after watching Marriage Story, but I certainly wasn't. But The Irishman got me a little misty. Good job, Marty. Good job, Bob. Good job, Al. Good job, Joey. I wonder what Al Pacino's real full name is. Alan? Albert? It's a good move going with Al. It's a good call, Al Pacino. Alp. Number 7, Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4, listen, it's a movie for kids, but it's a movie that also is there to help stoke the kid inside you. The beauty of the Toy Story franchise is that it's grown up with the folks who have seen it from the very beginning. I was 5 when the first Toy Story came out, and now I'm 29, and I saw Toy Story 4, and it still felt relevant to me, amazingly enough. And it also felt like a movie that if I had kids, then they would totally see the movie and understand the movie and appreciate the movie for what it is, while also allowing me to get that same message. And that is really solid filmmaking, I think. If you can make something that's that universal, with a message that really sticks out, gets stuck in your brain, and makes you feel like you've grown from watching the movie no matter what your age is. I give my tip of the hat to you guys over at Pixar. I know how all of you at Pixar are watching this. Number 6, Jojo Rabbit. Impressive. Taika Waititi, great director. Probably the greatest comedy director working right now. What he does with Jojo Rabbit is so mind-blowing. What he's doing from the very beginning even, where he has this sequence of propaganda clips from Leni Riefenstahl movies and other newsreels from German propaganda of the era set to Beatles music. It's just a brilliant move, galaxy brain shit right there. And the film stays strong. It's a wonderful satire. It's a wonderful comedy, but it also ticks some of the boxes of having good dramatic moments. It's hard to pull off a comedy like that. I can see why people are turned off by it, but those people are fucking babies, is what it is. At least that's what I think. Number 5, Us. It's getting buried because people are going to look at it, it's not as good as Get Out. Whatever. Take that aside. Let it stand on its own as a horror movie. It's ambitious. It's got great performances from not just Lupita Nyong'o, but folks like Elizabeth Moss and Tim Heidecker as well. The kids in the movie do a great job. I think Jordan Peele is going to wind up being one of our most important directors in the 2020s. I'm really intrigued to see what else he does, because Us, still for me, hit hard, did a great job making me feel, laugh, feel scared. Really solid, not just horror filmmaking, but really solid filmmaking all around. Now, if we're talking about solely solid horror filmmaking with some good levity throughout, let's go to number 4, Midsommar. Ari Aster's opus. Midsommar is so haunting, jaw-droppingly beautiful, standout performances from Florence Pugh and some of the other folks. What's the name of her boyfriend in that movie? I'm gonna look that up real quick. Florence Pugh's boyfriend, Midsommar. I gotta see the director's cut of Midsommar, by the way. Didn't get a chance to see it in theaters. I gotta see it. It's only on Apple TV. I don't have Apple TV. I'll figure out how to do this. Hey, there we go. Jack Rayner as her boyfriend, and Will Poulter is the shitty American. Just like the worst bro American stereotype of a terrible American in another country. Just great stuff, top to bottom. Really striking images, beautiful cinematography, really just haunting. And for a movie that bright and shiny to leave me feeling just like, I felt so jarred and awake watching that movie. That movie-going experience for me was not that good, honestly. There was a guy who fell asleep sitting next to me, and there was some sort of a summer camp that was letting out in the movie theater. So there's all this chanting and screaming and yelling from the kids. And I hate seeing movies in the middle of the day like that, where it's like a bunch of people show up. If I'm going to see a movie by myself, I want to see it where there's not a whole lot of people there. I want to feel like I'm one of the only people in the movie. But Midsommar worked on its own even despite all of this bullshit because it locks you in, it sucks you in, and you can't help but just stare on helplessly. It's another movie that really striking, jaw-droppingly beautiful, and I loved it. I'm glad that Ari Aster and Jordan Peele are getting to do such great work in the horror genre and really bring it back to life as something that people should be paying attention to, not just for genre fans. People who are fans of really great filmmaking look to Ari Aster and Jordan Peele in the next decade. Number 3, Booksmart. This is a movie that totally took me by surprise. I didn't really have a big desire to see it. That's probably some of my own bias showing, I guess. If I hear about it coming out at Sundance, I hear about it doing all sorts of good things, but I'm like, you know what? Teen girls doing super bad. I don't know if I want to see this in theaters. I don't know if I want to see this at all. Then the reviews started rolling in, and I figured I was out on the road. I got my AMC stubs. I'll take a flyer, and I was blown the fuck away. Great writing, great soundtrack. The kind of movie that if I had seen it when I was a teenager, I would have fallen in love with it and probably had it even higher up in my all-time movies list. But it made me feel like a kid again. You know, that's what the things I loved about Toy Story 4, some of the same things I loved about Booksmart. It made me feel the way I did when I was, I guess, the target age for a movie like this. Olivia Wilde nails the way that you're supposed to feel when you're angsty and as a teen and you don't really know what to do and you feel like some shit's going on with you and your friends and you don't really know how to handle it. And Caitlin Dever and Beanie Feldstein both do great jobs, and I'm glad the Booksmart's getting some recognition at the Golden Globes. We'll see if it gets any recognition at the Oscars, but I'm glad that I took a chance to go see Booksmart. It deeply, deeply affected me. Just a flat-out great comedy. Really, truly is. Great jokes, fantastic characters, really the total package. Go see it if you haven't yet. Even if you don't think it's for you, go see it. Number 2. Parasite. Bong Joon-ho's the fucking man. Great director, great filmmaking, airtight, no seams, you know. This is a kind of movie that it fits together like an intricate, you know, a puzzle box, jigsaw puzzle, Rubik's Cube, whatever. It's watching this movie felt like watching a guy solve a Rubik's Cube in a minute. And it's just beautiful and mesmerizing. You're like, how did he do it? How did he pull this off? He knows how to have things move around between different genres and characters, and God, Parasite is so good. I hope that it gets nominated for Best Picture. I hope it wins Best Picture. If I were an Academy voter, and because I'm guessing my number 1 movie of the year isn't going to get nominated for Best Picture, so Parasite's my shot. And if I'm an Academy voter, I'm voting Parasite. Parasite for Best Picture, Bong Joon-ho for Best Director. Let's get Jessica, Only Child, Illinois, Chicago. Let's get that for Best Original Song. Let's go. Parasite is damn near flawless, but damn near flawless can't save from my number 1 movie of the year, Uncut Gems. God, man. I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic. Watching such a heartbreaking portrayal of addiction that also made me feel the rush of addiction again. Mind-blowing. Safdie brothers are great filmmakers. I'm a big fan of Good Time, but Uncut Gems, not only one of my now all-time favorite movies, I've seen it twice in theaters already in the space of a week. Top 5 of all time for me. Adam Sandler's phenomenal. Deserves to win Best Actor. I bet, based on all of the Guild Award nominations so far, he'll get a nomination maybe, but he probably won't win. Win's probably going to go to Joaquin Phoenix. Another very deserving role. Joker. Good job, Joaquin. You saved that movie from being hard to watch. But Adam Sandler as Howard Ratner, all-time, top tier. Anytime any of these reviews of Uncut Gems where they're saying stuff like God tier acting from Adam Sandler, they're not wrong. They're not bullshitting you. He's stellar in this. Everybody in this movie does a great job. I love the Safdie brothers. I loved Uncut Gems. I loved how stressed out it made me, and I loved how the second time I watched it, I still felt all those feelings even though I knew it was coming. That's hard to pull off. That's why that movie is cemented for me as the number 1 movie of the year. If I can watch a movie again, even after I know what happens, and still feel all of the same emotions and the rush that I felt the first time I watched it, that deserves to be canonized in the all-time greats. So Uncut Gems, number 1. For me, for this year. If you haven't seen it, go see that. I know Uncut Gems and Parasite are both still in theaters. You may be able to catch a couple of these other ones in theaters still, but go see them while you can. And that's my top 10 of the year. Top 10 of 2019. So let me know what you guys think. Leave them in the comments below. Leave them in the Facebook group. And here's to a great 2020 with some more great films. Thanks.